Bullies target quiet farm girl's family at diner, unaware her father is a Navy SEAL. The little roadside diner smelled of fresh coffee and fried eggs, its windows fogged against the cool morning air. 17-year-old Emily sat quietly with her parents, her calloused hands folded neatly on the table. She had always been the quiet farm girl, the one who slipped through the halls at school without drawing attention, the one who preferred the sound of chickens clucking to the chatter of classmates. But in this moment, as laughter erupted from across the diner, she felt her stomach twist. The bullies from school had spotted her. They walked in with swagger, loud enough for the entire diner to notice. Jake, their ringleader, grinned as his eyes landed on Emily. He'd made a sport out of tormenting her, calling her hazed, mocking her worn boots, sneering about her family's small farm. Emily had learned to ignore it at school, but now they were intruding on the one place she felt safe, breakfast with her family. "Look who it is," Jake announced to his friends, striding closer. Little farm girl and her folks. Didn't think cows had enough money to eat out. His friends laughed, pounding on the table beside them. Emily's cheeks burned with embarrassment. She wanted to tell them to leave, but fear pressed heavy on her chest. Her father, John, looked up from his coffee. He wore a simple plaid shirt, his broad shoulders slightly hunched, his face calm. Few people in town knew his past. They knew he worked the land now, but not that he had once served his country in silence, completing missions most people would never hear about. He had been a Navy SEAL, trained to endure, trained to protect. But he never bragged about it, never sought recognition. To him, being a father and a farmer was the only mission that mattered now. The bullies weren't satisfied with words. One of them reached over and grabbed Emily's plate, pretending to sniff it. "Smells like pig slop. Guess she feels at home." They shoved the plate back down, spilling food across the table. Emily flinched, and her mother instinctively reached for her hand. The diner grew quiet. Other customers shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke. It was the kind of small-town silence where people hoped problems would resolve themselves without confrontation. John stood slowly. His chair scraped against the floor, the sound sharp in the hush. He didn't raise his voice. "That's enough." His tone was steady, controlled, but carried weight. Jake smirked. "Or what? You gonna cry like your daughter?" His friends laughed again, but the laughter faltered when John stepped closer. There was something in his eyes, calm, unshaken, but powerful. "You think bullying makes you strong?" John said quietly. "You think tearing down someone smaller proves anything? I've seen men with real strength, and it doesn't look like this." For a moment, Jake hesitated, but then pride pushed him forward. He tried to shove John in the chest. It was a mistake. In a single motion, John caught his wrist and twisted it down with effortless precision. Jake yelped in pain, dropping to his knees. The diner gasped. John hadn't struck him. He hadn't raised a fist. He had simply redirected the aggression, the way he had been trained 1,000 times before. "Strength," John continued, "is protecting those who need it. Strength is knowing when to fight, and when to walk away." He released Jake's arm, letting him stumble back, pale and shaken. His friends stood frozen, unsure of what to do. Emily watched with wide eyes. She had always known her father was strong, but she'd never seen this side of him. Not the farmer with dirt under his nails, but the protector who carried himself with quiet authority. For the first time, she felt pride replace the shame those bullies had forced on her. The bullies retreated quickly, muttering excuses as they pushed out the diner door. The silence that followed was thick, then slowly filled with murmurs of respect. One older man at the counter raised his coffee mug in quiet acknowledgement. Emily's mother reached for John's hand, squeezing it with gratitude. Emily herself leaned against him, her heart pounding with both relief and awe. She realized that the quiet strength her father carried wasn't just for himself, it was for her, for their family, for anyone who needed it. That night, as they sat on the porch overlooking their fields, Emily turned to him. "Dad," she said softly. You didn't even hurt him. You just stopped him. Why? John looked out at the setting sun, his face calm. Because, Emily, anyone can use force. But real strength is control. Fighting isn't about winning, it's about protecting what matters. She thought about his words long after the stars came out. At school, she still faced stares and whispers, but the next time someone tried to mock her, she didn't shrink. She stood a little taller, remembering her father's steady voice. The bullies, humbled by what had happened at the diner, never pushed her again. The lesson wasn't about retaliation. It was about dignity. Emily carried that lesson forward, knowing she didn't have to be loud to be strong, and that true strength often speaks in silence. By the end of it all, the farm girl wasn't just the quiet kid anymore. She was the daughter of a man who had lived by honor, and she was learning to carry that same strength within herself.